I remember somebody sent me an interview that Nina Teicholz did when her book came out, when it was really popular, 2014. I noticed from my Facebook memories recently, a few weeks ago, that I actually didn't start reading the book until 2016. And what I've realized is I think I was introduced to the concept and I understood that endurance athletes could eat fat. But what I was, especially when I look back and I see like why did it take me so long to pick up that book? For me, it was resistance. I knew for myself that like if this woman's right, she might be right. If she is right, everything I know about nutrition is wrong. Take me back to like what that time was like in your life when you've been trained a certain way. You're pulling up these studies. There's no small amount of these studies. There's a lot of studies that have been done for over 100 years talking about this stuff. Like, are you just all the feels at this time?
Yeah, initially, potentially even naively, well, first I was angry, but then I was super excited and empowered. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to print these out. And I was working as a clinical dietitian in acute care at the time. And I was like, I'm going to change the way we treat our patients. This is amazing. Everyone will be so excited. And of course, my boss and clinical director, and even I went to the head medical chief officer, and they all just said, nope, we're not doing that. It's not the guidelines. We don't have time for it. They said it a little bit more, what's the right word? Maybe eloquently, trying to bullshit you like we care about what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, I really had a personal kind of crisis because I was like, I don't think I can ethically continue to practice because I know what I'm teaching people, not just like, oh, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. No, I know now that it's harmful. And I mean, that's an oath that we all take. Every medical professional is do no wrong. We can't go into something knowing that we're causing harm. And I felt like that's what I was doing, and I expressed these concerns to anyone who would listen. And I remember, when I made the decision I was going to leave the hospital setting at that time, one of my co-dietitians pulled me aside and said, hey, don't do this. And I said, don't do what? She said, because I had said to you, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to step away. She said, even if you're right, you'll never get hired again. You're not going to make any money. You're going to lose all credibility. And she wasn't totally wrong. Financially, tell you, you make a lot more in healthcare than you did, trying to sell books. But yeah, there were a lot of tears. There was a lot of, what do I do? What am I going to do now? Because obviously, it's not cheap to become a dietitian. You have to get your 4-year degree. I had an internship, and I took out student loans. So yeah, it was really hard, but I was fortunate. I stayed in the system until I was able to step away and kind of hustled for a while. I've had several different jobs and gigs, and I'm very grateful that Dietitian's Dilemma has sold well. Although Amazon, I think, makes more of my book than I do, but I'm grateful to be able to get the word out there. And, now I do some contract work actually for facilities looking for some help, with their menus, specifically gearing them more towards low carbohydrate nutrition.
That's amazing. I just think there's so much power in the universe that goes to the people that stand by their values, regardless of the outcome. And yeah, like you're taking a huge leap of faith by doing that, but you get rewarded by certain things and different doors open that weren't open previously. And so tough times for sure. And it must have been very, very scary to come out and do that. And again, I just absolutely love your book. What would you do? What would you do? Like for me as a nutrition coach, like, I spent the better part of several months reading a 600-page book and passed my test, and I am a nutrition coach. That's not the same as what you're describing as far as a dietitian. You guys have way more school. All the bills that you said you had to pay from schooling, like those stakes are much, much higher than anything I had to face. And so the courage that it would have taken to leave that setting and write the book, I just think is massive.
I really appreciate that. And, I totally understand and value that. And I also appreciate, I'm super fortunate to have a partner that also had a really good, she has a great job. So that helped, to be like, okay, we can, until you figure out what you're going to do next, we have a little bit of a bridge here. But I do have dietitians that reach out to me all the time that say, I don't know what to do. Like I'm the primary, breadwinner, we get insurance through me. But I really appreciate what you said, because it's true that when you put yourself out there, doors will open. And maybe there's people listening that if you're not in a position where you can like step away from your job or leave your job, you can just start though. You can start maybe advocating on social media, starting a YouTube, starting something just to kind of like you know, get your voice and get your word out there, and see if you can't build off that to a point to where you can, you know, eventually transition out of whatever you're doing.
I love that. That's great advice. And this is perfect timing to plug your social media and your wife at the same time. You guys do the best videos. I almost just put it in the introduction, like go follow her on Instagram because the videos they make are absolutely amazing. Your wife is hilarious. I would say she wasn't the most comfortable on a lot of the videos when you first started putting them out, but she just gets like more and more comfortable and funnier every single time. Like, tell us about these videos you guys make. They're so cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You want to hear a quick funny story is, you know, when writing the second book, I have one of my friends is going to help me promote it. And she's able to see what the number one thing people Google what do people Google when they Google Michelle Hurn? And I thought, oh, surely they Google like eating disorder recovery or endurance athlete or dietitian. No, they Google Michelle Hurn wife. Who's her wife? They think she's funny and gorgeous, and she is. So yeah, so what we do is we're basically trying to do kind of like a satire. We're trying to show big issues, but we're having Kareen as my wife be the consumer, and I'm the traditional dietitian. So she'll ask like simple questions like, wow, shouldn't I not have this because it's going to cause my blood sugar to go off, you know? And I'll be like, no, of course not, or, you know. So yeah, we usually have to do several takes because we end up laughing or a dog starts barking or something crazy happens, but we like making fun of traditional dietitians. We do get a lot of we get a lot of positive. Most are pretty positive. Most people think it's pretty funny, but some traditional dietitians get very offended when we make fun of them, which they should. You know, yeah. I always tell them like, I'll let the manager know.
It's fantastic.
So yeah, but it's, you know, the goal is people learn, we learn, we get inspired, we change our behavior through stories, right? Through learning, through listening, through watching, through understanding. And when you see something kind of acted out in a funny way, our number one watch video is that oat milk, you know, how we make fun of oat milk. That's what will get people's attention. Because I could certainly stand up there and say like sugar is bad. But when you do it in kind of a funny skit and you bring in your personal experience and people can relate, that's what I found tends to get traction and tends to be very relatable.